Alright guys, I want to welcome you all back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It seems like the trial's getting a little bit more heated than usual, and we're going to continue on from there, guys. So I hope you all continue to enjoy watching, and let's keep it rolling. Alright guys, and we are back. Excuse that cough for a minute. What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh really? Why? Why would you do something like this? Moving our corpses is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation for why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? A foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zieks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Look at that. Extraordinary. That's right. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinking actions? Let me see the local map, secondhand, case file, jackknife, crime scene photograph updated, crime scene photograph number 2. Principles of policing. Policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat. Police regulations. Any crimes fall under jurisdiction of the beat which they have discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigation to help detectives. It's definitely the warrant card.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land and I have only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But, for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of his bouquet, my lord. Oh yes! It was our very first wedding anniversary! Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal, when he and Mr. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? But sir, just on that one particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigation and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's alright. So that's it? It was all to do with the boundary of your beat? Oh. Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be looking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Mearscombe Street and then... I'm... Oh man, look at that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Everyone's feeling bad for him now. Oh, Constable. I just wanted... just that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought... well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. Still no excuse, but... I see your meaning now. But God got me back from my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? 4. It was, yes, sir, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th, being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garadev household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. Alright, we got the fourth book updated and it's now in the court record. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of a difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir, let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of the crime. Never again, sir. You mean to say... Leave now. This trial is not yet over. Sir! Well, quite startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused Mr. Soseki Natsume is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe that the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zieks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. You will name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request a cross-examination of my new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joanne Caradab. Mrs. Joanne Caradab, sorry. Me? Me? Oh, dearie me!
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Caradab, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Caradab. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open-top hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Caradab. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needed to testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Oh! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Caradab? Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. See, that's already a problem in and of itself, that statement. Come along now, chop chop, do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh! The prosecution does not object to the defense request to cross-examine this woman. Oh. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm going to have to testify? Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garadeb. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joanne Garadeb. And I'm a juror, and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, the husband? Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly noticed it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garadeb? Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Wow, that's a mouthful. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes, quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Alright, witness testimony. Let's go. Battle of Garadeb. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. You were picking up whatever. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd notice if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although, an entirely one-sided assault it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. And by we, you mean you? Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death in any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus now is such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Van Zieks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances. We only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. My go. The battlefield of Gardab. On the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. See, here's the problem with her statement here. In her previous statement, she was saying she was in such a rage that she threw whatever was near her. She did not stop to think about what to pick up. So,
Hold it!
even though the room was on fire, as far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to distinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of Susato Takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin. That's a lot of stuff. And also, why'd you react?
Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Gardab. Don't shoot. Sorry, I beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. Ah! Good grief, woman. We're not home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. We'll take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. The defense believes Mr. Garda's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense one might say. Might one. In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Alright, we got it. I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Gardeb. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I know it's one of two things. If that ballet thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you have to job proving it. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. I can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential. That we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, I know. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was, in fact, a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, it would. So, for Soseki-san's sake, we must. We must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Alright, hold on a second. Can I check? Where's that pipe? Alright, let me check it out. Wait, what? There's a note here. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe here. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. Oh, I thought it was a note. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade. Surely it couldn't be. Uh-oh. Found something. If that's the case, then I should inspect the jackknife too. There it is, yep, right here. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruto, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it is missing? I could be wrong, but I just got a feeling. You remember this? Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garadev's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my, it's a perfect fit. Somehow, I just knew it. Okay, so we can establish that that's... Okay. Alright. And there you're referring to the wife and I did a bit of skirmish, or call it now. Knocked the candlestick over, set fire to a carpet. Meanwhile, picking up whatever. Plenty of knives around our place, can't say I noticed one or two went missing on the way. If that ballet thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. I don't think I will this time. We can use the broken blade. Objection! Mr. Garadev, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dear me, it's rather worrying being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy. Doozy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garadev's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Hove, I wonder how it got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? The jackknife.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt it's the tip has suffered a similar fate now, languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garadev's pipe. Ha! Ah! Wow, he got affected. Good grief, Lord Van Zieks. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal. Are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Van Zieks has figured it out, has he? Counsel! Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garadev's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did, yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between those two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garadev flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garadev instead of striking the pipe in his hand at the time. Which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garadev's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet, there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garadev's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh ho ho, guys. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. We're finally getting to the conclusion of this trial, I believe. And we'll continue on in the next one. Thank you all for watching.